Welcome to this week's inspirational edition of Stories Untold. I am the bearer of positive and uplifting news. I go by the name of Pule Molebatsi. Welcome to the show. COVID-19 has reintroduced mankind to a whole new way of life, with countries having to resort to immediate shutdown of their borders, forcing people to stay home. But not everyone, as there were men and women who had to wake up every day to report for duty so that those at home can still get the necessities while in quarantine. Today we dedicate our show to our heroes and heroines. I'm talking about our essential workers. We begin the show with the story of Mpho together with her team, as they have taken upon themselves to disinfect public areas such as this one next to me, as well as in informal settlement. Let's have a look at her story.
A sight that defines South Africa's new normal as the world battles to curb the spread of coronavirus. While many South Africans remain at home, some commute daily to work to provide essential services, and some prepare to reopen businesses as the easing of the lockdown begins to take effect. Despite uncertainty and fear of the spread of the coronavirus, South Africans choose courage over fear as they prepare for the new way of life. The sense of unity is undeniable as individuals take it upon themselves to flatten the curve. This is Mpho and her team in Johannesburg North. They are on a mission to disinfect public areas where most South Africans commune.
Personally, I have been in the hygiene product supply space as well as medical. So for us, the disinfecting sprays is just basically extension of the hygiene part that we are already in. And we saw that there's a huge need for the disinfecting, because if you try and differentiate between the sanitizing and the disinfecting, the disinfecting focus solely on killing the germs. So that's when we realized that as much as we are also in the sanitizing space, but we strongly felt that the grassroots problem is the disinfecting.
One of the key messages remain the washing of the hands and usage of the sanitizers for better hygiene. But Mpho and her team have their focus set elsewhere.
Part of the preventative measures that our government has put together is that we need to wash hands, right? But there is an important element that we seem to be isolating, right, which is part of the disinfecting. Because remember, the very same hands that we need to wash would have caught the germs through the surface that we need to disinfect. We have covered various taxi ranks in the eastern area. We have covered one of the mall where there's an influx of people there, because our people need to go buy essentials. So we felt it was also ideal that we go to those areas where they flock in. I must honestly say that giving back has always been part of our CSI projects. This is not the first project of its kind where we are doing what we have done, giving back to the community which we come from. And given the vulnerability of the people in the informal settlements, as well as the risk associated in the taxi industry, given the influx of people that commune on a daily basis, we felt hore re bana ba holetseng lekeishene re tseba mathata a le teng di informal settlements, re na le bana ba bo rona, di relatives tsa rona tse dulang moo. And as a result, we felt hore if this pandemic was to hit badly those would be the areas that will be affected mostly. Then we felt, let's help government. Let's stop sitting down and talking about what government is not doing. Let's go and help as part of our CSI projects, those particular areas which are more vulnerable.
We took a moment with Mpho for a brief demonstration of home usage of this product.
So I'll be disinfecting the table. But one other key element that we need to take into consideration when disinfecting is that we also need to target areas that we ordinarily think that are not important. For example, the underneath of your table is important because your kids can easily hold onto the bottom and as well as at the top simultaneously. You disinfect your groceries, and you can either left it to dry or you can put it in your grocery cupboard as is. As I've indicated, it's non-toxic, it's 100% free of chlorine, so it's human and animal friendly.
From there, we took to an informal settlement where Mpho took their services to the most vulnerable in society.
Hona jwale re mo Zanzibar ke tulo e welang under Gauteng province, generally re ka re ke Plahaniju. So re tlile mona re tlile ho tlo thusa community ka ho disinfecta area tse ba dulang ho tsona. We felt that it's necessary to do that to try and control kokwana e re hlopang e leng yona COVID-19. We felt hore re ka etsa we can make a difference maphelong a batho ba mo ka ho tla re tlo zama ho bona hore re ka ba thusa jwang ka hore re disinfecte plek.
The residents in these areas are often forced to leave their homes in search of bare necessities to get by. As many are seen outside their homes, they too have the fear that they might contract the virus.
Right, ha ba bele grabele re kwisakini arna maybe tswana ana bele ka mgo ke nyaka una ti ha kena brotho ka ntoni that is why no ke fostele re ke itjwe.
Oh, how sai shopong ha o tsamai?
Ke nna motho lu dula ka ntoni ke mo ka o lebelle TV putha di washeni kwa.
And while the informal settlements are South Africa's densely populated areas, there's hope that the little bit of effort put to fighting the spread of the virus might spare the lives of the residents there.
You know, experience is the best teacher. Therefore, having been to one of the informal settlement, and in some instance we got a very hostile reception, but other members of the community were quite happy with what we were offering. And we have now realized that going forward, prior to us going specifically to the informal settlement, what we'll do is we'll make sure that we engage with the strategic people in the area, which would be the councillor of the area himself, the street committees, the street representative, so that we give them a bit of education before we go there.
Mpho and her team make up a number of other South Africans who are proactive in their efforts to meet the government halfway to get South Africa on its feet as it rebuilds the economy.
Welcome back. You are still watching Stories Untold with me, Pulem Mulebati. The next insert will definitely force you to take a second look at your cashier when you visit the nearest convenience store. We'll spend some time with Martha just to get an idea of what is a day in her life like. Let's have a look.
This is part of the routine that makes up Martha's day. Her line of work is one that runs for 7 days a week and 12 hours per day. She and others like her takes turns to render essential services that were previously taken for granted. Today she's reporting to work, and with the spotlight on her, the work that she has done when millions of South Africans were ordered to stay home under strict lockdown regulations.
I go Soweto, and I started working here at Pick and Pay and 2011 until now. Early in the morning when I have to come to work, I will pray to God to protect me all the time, because we don't know who has it, who doesn't has it, because we're serving customers each and every day. And then to work for my family and then to serve the people, that's all motivated me, because I love what I'm doing and giving back to the community also.
The streets were not the only thing that was different. Her place of work also had to go through rapid change.
There were a lot of differences, because people that didn't come to work because they're also scared to get out of their houses. We could find maybe a day we had like 7 or 10 customers, and which is like the business was not running smoothly because of that. And then we managed to keep our heads up and then to come to work and then serve the people.
Working as a cashier requires direct contact with hundreds of people every day. Martha braves her own fear of being exposed with the virus to still serve the public.
We implemented that they must be checked as soon as they clock in. They must always have their mask. And then for customers also, we have a tunnel outside where they will have to walk in the tunnel, and at the door they have to sanitize their hands before they come in. And they must be always wearing their mask.
Our staff being the most important to us in the business, because we can't serve our customers without our staff. As far as our customers are concerned, we've put numerous sanitizing stations within the store, followed firstly just by entering, which is a sanitizing tunnel, and then the screens which we've put up at the till points, just for protection of both the customer and the cashier.
The lockdown regulations also presented her with new challenges that she quickly had to adjust to in order to be right here when South Africans were in need of her services the most.
Honestly speaking, it was hard and it was different, because the streets were empty and we couldn't have like transportation to come to work. We didn't know how to survive this, but then grace of God, we did survive it, and we're still here. And then some other businesses are closed, people don't have work. Thanks God to us, we still have something, to give back to our families.
Oh, it was very scary, because even in a taxi, we were scared to get in a taxi. And even though it was taking 7 people, but still it was scary to know that you are touching a dot that has been touched by someone else. And then even after work, we were struggling with taxis. People were scared to come to work.
During our interview with her, Martha found being on the spotlight a bit unexpected, as in the past, cashiers were often overlooked and not considered essential until of recent. Often shy when we speak to her, she expressed the sentiments regarding the positive change in her line of work.
It made us, all the retailers and the securities and the people who were not taken seriously, it made us to feel more important, like a government that's taking us seriously.
What kind of a person is Martha?
Oh, she's a very lovely person. She's friendly. Everyone likes her, and she likes to talk to everyone here in shop. Yes.
Today, her and her colleagues are receiving these sanitizers to ease the burden of having to buy them to take home.
Our staff is as safe as what their families are at home, because at the end of the day they need to go home and they need to live in a safe environment in order to bring those safety measures and those disciplines back to work.
It is very easy now that we are getting the sanitizers to take home, because at home they would be scared when you are coming from work. They will say, no, you're gonna give us corona and everything, because you're working with many customers. And then even at home, when you are coming home, they would give you a sanitizer before you get inside the house. So now it's easier now that we have our own sanitizers.
Because we can't have enough of sanitizers, because we don't know when this lockdown is going to be end, because we're on level 4. And by the look of things, the number keep on increasing. So definitely for having those sanitizers, it will help a lot. It will help a lot.
Living through a pandemic has truly changed the workings of the universe. Human nature has had to rethink of its interaction. The codependency has also become visible. Today we shine the spotlight of Martha and many like her. History will definitely remember you.
Welcome back to Stories Untold. Today we go behind the story of all the essential workers here in South Africa, and we invite you at home to also share stories of essential workers that you know who've been working since level 5 of the lockdown. Would also like to send them a shout out here on the show. Just use the hashtag Stories Untold across different social media platforms.
Our quest to shine the spotlight on essential workers has led us to this establishment. Here, many pets are catered for, from grooming to provision of their staple meals. When the lockdown took effect, they shut down, but only for a few days. But it wasn't long before their passion for our furry friends led them back here.
Sisa ku first stage se lockdown behleli sonke singakhona ukuthi size emsebenzini, then masingena ku second stage ngabuyela emsebenzini. I don't want to stay at home doing nothing. I'm not that kind of a person. I prefer to come and work.
The business was also no longer reaching its financial target, but need to feed and groom pets at home remained consistent, with fewer pet owners having to make hard financial choices.
Our hours were 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock, Monday to Friday, Saturday 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock, and Sunday 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. With the amount of business that's out there at the moment, we're open 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock, Monday to Saturday, and that's all. A lot of people aren't receiving their full salaries, so they don't see dogs as a necessity, or cats or hamsters, whatever pets they've got. So they're trying to cut down as much as possible. So business has been quiet, and people just don't have money at the moment. As well as at the moment, I'm allowed to bring in Lungile 3 times a week.
Kube nzima kakhulu ma. Ngoba manje nale mali uyiholayo sayiholi. Uhola imali half. Namalanga wasebenzayo akhathiwe. So sebenza 3 days a week instead of 6 days a week. And then nama challenges we transport we motaxi ukuza emsebenzini. Izo zonke izinto esisifisayo lezo.
Although there were more challenges that came Lungile's way, but she still chose being here rather than being at home.
What motivates me mostly is that the love of dog. I love my work, and I love what I'm doing, especially with dogs. I'm having my own dogs that I love much. So in spite of the lockdown, I'm able to come to work. Instead of sitting in location doing nothing, that is not, I don't like that.
There have been challenges with regards to Lungile getting to work. Sometimes I know that she's not always able to charge her phone, as well as she's contacted me once or twice saying she's still waiting in the queue to catch a taxi. Lungile is very punctual. She's always on time for work. She's always well presented. I've never had a problem with her in the past, but from time to time there have been times where she phones and says, "Ma'am, I'm going to be 15, 20 or half an hour late," because she's still waiting in a queue.
The love for pets isn't the only thing that gets Lungile up in the morning.
Enye into enkulu engayisho, I don't know if it will make much sense, but I think prayer is the best. That's the best thing we can do right now. I'm trusting in God every day when I come to work and I go home. I'm trusting in God.
I have an obligation to my staff to put in as much effort as possible to keep the business open, so that when the lockdown is lifted, there's still a business to come back to, as well as the animals. You know, you get used to your clients, you get used to the animals, and you want to keep going for them.
At the end of the day, the pair leaves to head home, content with having served their niche market. And while other shifts head to an end, new ones begin, with different sectors going to work, such as armed response security.
My name is Walter Chekwase. What I can tell you is that most of the crime that was currently before the the lockdown. It was the house break-ins, because I remember everyone is at work, kids they're at school. So it was some of the challenges, but now because of the COVID, everyone is at home. But the business, they are shut down, there's no one at the business. So yes, indeed, we needed to go out with numbers, we needed to patrol, we need to drive up and down, making sure each and every day, each and every night, that there is no one that is walking along the street irrespective of COVID-19. So yes, those ones that have got the permits, they are allowed, and we have got the right to ask them, where are you going at this time? Because we are not expecting anyone to walk in the midnight. So yes, of course, we are trying our level best to minimize the crime. What motivates me? Like I said, it's all about what you call the mindset. If you have got the positive mindset, then yes, of course, there's nothing that is going to stop you.
And with that, we have come to the end of our show. Just to take your memory back a bit, it was exactly 6 weeks ago when Stories Untold did their first episode of the show after the hard lockdown. I'm talking about level 5 of the lockdown here in South Africa. The streets were a little bit emptier than this. I'm back again today on the streets of Johannesburg with few more cars on the road. As we walk down memory lane, would like to salute our essential workers. Big up to every man and woman who have been at the forefront of fighting the spread of COVID-19. From myself, Pule Mulebati, and the rest of the team, salute. Goodbye.